And here we are. The anticipation screen is loading. And boy, do I have a lot of anticipation. We also found out what our next set is going to be. It's going to be a PvP. We have Evil Genius's Huck going up against Huangsin from its Gosu. So there we have it. And here we are, guys, on Cloud Kingdom. In the top right-hand corner of the map, we have our blue Zerg player from FXO, none other than Leenock. His opponent down in the bottom left-hand corner is our red Terran player, Apocalypse from Quantic Gaming. So he has chosen Cloud Kingdom. He initially had chosen Antigua, switched his mind, decided to go for Cloud Kingdom. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Antigua seems to be kind of the go-to pick for a lot of Terran players.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he thinks maybe he has a special build plan for this map, or maybe he had a special build plan for Antigua and just didn't want to show it against Leenock, or didn't think it would work against Leenock because of the way Leenock seems to be playing so far.
So Cloud Kingdom now, when you see this map against a Terran player, what are you usually thinking? What's your game plan if you're just going to play a standard game?
All right, this map for me usually revolves around macro games. There are some sort of early cheeses, but in general I feel like most games go into later games. Like it's easy to take a third, and then the whole thing is defending your third and kind of trying to prevent the Terran's third, trying to prevent the Terran's fourth while getting up to hive tech even. Like it's a very macro map for me whenever or at least I feel like it is whenever I play it. It may be different for Leenock, it may be different for Apocalypse. There are plenty of 2-base builds, plenty of 3-base builds you can do, and you know, I guess my point is it's a very reactionary game. I think it's a very macro-oriented map if you get to it, but it all depends on what your opponent's doing.
All right, well, we'll see here what Leenock's approach is going to be. Looks like he just put down a 15 hatch, so same thing we saw last game, and knowing Leenock, that doesn't give us much of an indication as to what's to come soon.
Well, he also scouted this time. So that's kind of an indicator of, well, I'm a little bit afraid of you. Last time I blind gassed first and then pool, didn't even scout at all. This game, I'm scouting. I don't want to die to a 2-racks.
Well, it looks like he's not going to have at least a 2-racks to compete against. This drone is actually trapped inside of the main for a while here. Won't be able to chew its way through the supply depot before the first Marine pops out. So he's just trying to sneak a kill and almost grabs one. But nice job by Apocalypse to keep all those alive. At the very least, though, Leenock is being very annoying, and Apocalypse has to deal with it.
Yep, for sure.
Oh, look at that. Even saving the drone, too. So cute.
And so I just want to point out another little mind game. I love mind games. If you look at last game, how he talked about how he did everything blind, went pool or gas first, right? If a Terran sees that, and he did, a lot of Terrans will think, okay, he doesn't scout, he plays really blind, I can do it 2-racks, and it'll be really, really good. And then Leenock scouts for it. Like that's like a trap that Leenock had prepared for Apocalypse, and Apocalypse didn't fall for it.
No, not at all. But Leenock now doing things just a little bit differently. Decided to put up his pool just before gas, but his gas is coming up at a relatively normal time. So 2 queens are on the way, and it'll have his speed at a in the not too distant future. But we'll see here what these guys can do now. As Apocalypse, in contrast to last game where he decided to go for the very quick 3 command centers, deciding to go for double gas a little bit earlier on, a little bit more normal.
This is interesting. A lot of times you see 1 gas and then a factory right after kind of. This is going to be a 2 gas. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of Banshee Hellion play maybe earlier than normal with Cloak. But he does have his 3rd command center coming up, so it'll be really interesting to see what he does from here.
All right. Well, you know, a variety of styles on this map are possible. You know, just a couple of siege tanks here outside of your, in between your natural and your third can actually watch a very wide range if you want to play a very turtley style. You know, we've seen a lot of players effectively use Banshees here, too, as a way to eventually transition into mech. We've seen players like Thorzane that have gone with a really cool biomech composition. They sit back and they just wait and move up to Raven. So this map does offer a lot of flexibility, if nothing else.
For sure. Leenock just getting a bunch of queens. I'll have 4 really shortly, which is really nice. It lets him spread creep really quickly. He's also taking 2 gas before his next hatchery, getting speed right away. This is actually a really interesting build, where Leenock could go into an aggressive build if he sees something that tips him off to it, I guess.
Yeah, most of the time when you see those quick 4 queens, or at that point, they've usually gone without gas for a little while, but Leenock, no, just powering ahead and really banking it up. Roach Warren is once again on the way, and the third gas.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm wondering too. I'm like, what is Leenock up to? He's certainly going to have a lot of flexibility. He's going to have, I mean, he has plenty enough gas for Lair right now, but he doesn't quite have the mineral income to support the amount of roaches that he would want to if he was going for a huge roach push.
Oh, no, it's going to be a huge roach push.
It is.
For sure.
Yeah, he's just,
for sure.
He's saved up enough gas, though, for, well, about 1 million.
Yeah, that's the thing, I guess. It's kind of not perfect, right? It could have been done slightly better, I think. Not to critique him at all, because maybe it's a build where he doesn't want it to be perfect. He doesn't want to throw in a whole bunch of roaches. It's not going to be the same build, right? It's going to be almost like a faker build, and then whenever it's done, he's going to have, look at that, a lair with it. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's a Leenock build. Like, you don't know what's going to happen.
I know.
It's going to be 7 roaches and the mutas as quick as can be. Like, it's so cool.
That's right. Well, yeah, if we had seen an entire 3-game set with Leenock, and Queens are out all the way across the map, if we had seen a 3-game set of Leenocks without any mutas, I would have been sorely disappointed.
Well, we still those Queens walking are really cool. I like them.
Yes. Well,
we're gonna have a transfuse each. There's going to be a bunch of roaches, bunch of lings that can turn into banelings.
Very cool and very stupid, as these Queens have no. I was Queens off of creep just always looks so foolhardy to me.
He can spread creep with that overlord now because the lair is going to be about done and lead on some creep tumors directly in front of the Terran's base at this point.
Oh, that's awesome. There's already a couple of bunkers, and there are Banshees in the air, though, so Apocalypse needs to do a ton of damage and needs to do it very quick.
The Banshees aren't going to be as strong against this because there are 2 Queens just sitting there with transfuses waiting. That's another reason why this is a really interesting and beautiful thing. A lot of times people do this with a Nidus Worm.
He just puts down enough creeps so he can get the first 2 tumors laid and then immediately turns it into an Overseer on top of that. Here come the Banelings, though. Enough looking at this. What does Apocalypse have prepared? He's got a siege tank on the high ground.
Bunker. He doesn't hold the bunker.
No, immediately loses it, and he's already lost a few workers. Now the Banelings have certainly taken their toll, and he has vision of the high ground with this Overseer, so he almost kills the siege tank. That would have been a huge win for Leenock.
Oh, boy.
Oof. Okay, so now we have a Banshee that's actually moving across the map. There's not... Okay, there is 1 Queen, but 1 Banshee will beat 1 Queen one-on-one. So we'll see if Leenock decides to bite on that, but right now he's got a stranglehold on his opponent's position. Overall worker count 29 to 29, so with 3 command centers, Apocalypse will have a lot of workers to his credit soon.
The Banshee there should have really went for drones. I guess for that reason right there, but the thing is that Leenock is putting just so much pressure on that it's hard to make those good decisions. I mean, there's already 2 Queens and Creeper already all the way there with an Overseer, and look at that, even the... Oh boy, this is such an amazing pressure from Leenock. I don't know what I would be so confused if I was this Terran, like, what?
But, I mean, look at this. The creep is already so far in that we're talking in a considerable length of time before he's going to be able to throw down scans, clean this out, and reestablish this natural base. So one siege tank is going to fall here in a second. The second is likely not going to fall. Looks like he's going to turn his attention to the rings on the low ground for now. But Leenock has done his damage just with those creep tumors. That's the most economic damage he's done so far.
Yeah, this is really awesome.
This is pretty cool.
Just 2 Banshees more, and those Banshees really could have cleaned up probably the mess at the front if you even kept the one that died. You'd have 3 Banshees, and 3 Banshees, even against Queens with Transfuse, can do a tremendous amount of damage. These 2 are doing what I thought would be the thing that the last lone Banshee should have done, focusing on drones. Don't even need to go for the Queen. He's going to go for the Queen again. If he can pick them both off, that'll put him in a great situation. It's just going to be really tough to do that. He loses a Banshee for it, and already there are Infestors coming. Think about how many more drones those 2 Banshees could have picked off and then left. It's going to be an interesting trade-off. Like, now he's getting them free, though. Yeah. And he got both Queens, so... All right. Crazy.
Okay, well, you know, he's equalized the workers killed. Let's actually take a look at the overall worker count, 29 to 32. Of course, we mentioned before, just 2 hatcheries producing stuff. He knows that the Infestation Pit is in play, and Apocalypse has done a ton of damage with this.
Oh, boy, I was so wrong, man. Go for those Queens in this situation.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is kind of interesting because Leenock could have easily put 1 Spore. Imagine how crazy this would be if there was 1 Spore, or even just a 3rd Queen. A 3rd Queen does the same thing where, well, and there's the Spore in the main. Okay, so imagine if that Spore in the main was at the natural, but it wasn't. And this is really good from Apocalypse, putting a whole bunch of pressure on. and really forcing Leenock to be focusing here instead of focusing on anywhere else, anything else he wants to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, and on top of all of that, most of these Infestors are now low energy because they were forced to use their fungals on that, so it's not like Leenock has any ability to move out across the map anytime soon. He's got to reestablish his economy while simultaneously trying to take a third base. All the while, Apocalypse is sitting back, and he's amassing a very large force. 2 siege tanks, a ton of Marines, Banshee's still being made at the same time. I mean, this is going to be tough for Leenock.
CC has to be placed still.
I know.
That's not going to be able to move for such a while, too. Oh, it's so cool.
I mean, this is a huge inefficiency in mining right now. So this is continuing to do economic damage. Does it make up for all that he lost before? I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God. But there are
that
Infestors.
SCV that couldn't make the supply depot right there, it found them technically. But Apocalypse were like, oh, it's just an error in the client. No, that was an Infestor underneath your SCV. Oh, man. And that missile turret right at the front, just a little bit too late.
Oh, man. And he is not going to suspect one thing here, and these are going to pop up and throw a lot of infested Terrans in a second.
Oh, yeah, they can wait. They have so many different possibilities. They could wait until there's a really good opportunity to fungal, and then, you know, put down a whole bunch of fungal, kind of destroy mineral line that, or you can just try and go for a CC if you wait long enough, and just throw down that many infested Terrans that you can focus down all the SCVs, and if they run, they get the CC too.
And this Banshee actually cloaks back up, but Leenock was standing right under that with Changeling, so he knows that that's going to be the case. Apocalypse finally has retaken his orbital command at the normal spot, so his creep finally got away for him.
Oh boy.
And Leenock is accumulating quite a few resources right now. He has a bit supply blocked.
Yep, and a little bit behind on pretty much workers, supply, everything. The thing that he's going to have to hope for is that those 4 Infestors, I think they're maybe, nope, but whenever they get used, they have to be really well. And is the main almost mined out for Apocalypse already?
Yes, it is. And because he's been dumping triple mules on that the entire time because he couldn't mine from the natural, you see how quickly a Terran player can actually go through a base. Well, this Banshee's still accumulating kills at the back. That's 42 workers killed for Apocalypse now. That is a staggering count. And he's baited more fungal growths from his opponent. Yes, the Banshee is finally going to die, but that economic damage is going to be felt for a while.
Yep. And, okay, so now that the tanks were moving, tanks were positioned so that they would have hit the infested Terrans as well. Yep, that was the cue that he was looking for. And he throws up all these infested Terrans.
And this is going to be a very quick, very dead command center if he so desires. He's already killed a lot of workers that are sitting on top of this. And believe it or not, despite the economic damage he's taken, he actually has an overall worker lead somehow, some way. So those infested Terrans have already done quite a bit of damage. He just killed another like 12 workers just instantly.
The trick here now is if you have to watch the other 4 Infestors and see if any of them escaped. Like, where did they go? Where did they get
right
to?
Here.
Right there? Okay, that's going to be the thing. He has to, like, he knows that he didn't go down. So now the Terran has to scan kind of all around, everywhere. Maybe if he had a Raven, it would be even better. And he has the tech lab on the building, but he's just making a medevac there. If he had a Raven there, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, well, especially me, I'm biased. I always want to see Ravens in every circumstance. I don't care what the situation is. Let's just go for Ravens with Seeker missiles. So I know it's not viable at all, but man, I love it.
Thors? Let's make some Ravens to deal with them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, why need Thors when you could have Ravens? All right, so taking a look at things, Apocalypse has not had to sacrifice too much of his economy. I mean, he did lose the workers, don't get me wrong, but I mean, his mining efficiency is not that damaged because all of his workers are now sitting over at his natural and over at his third.
It's equal supplies. I mean, the Terran, or the Zerg needs to have a higher supply almost always.
He did, just about 2 minutes ago, though, is about 101 supply to 72, so Leenock's made that up a little bit, but he still has a long way to go.
And upgrades, I think he's ahead, too. His 2-2 started a lot sooner. Those 4 Infestors, they're still alive. Apocalypse has to get them.
Oh, and they've got enough for, I was about to say, 3 infested Terrans apiece, so that's this is more economic damage that's about to be done.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, well, I mean, your mind thinks, okay, he has to be alive somewhere, but I'm gonna blindly ignore them. Yeah. And it's not that mindset you can have. You got to get rid of these Infestors, even if it costs you a whole bunch of mules or really pretty much everything. You have to figure out a way to get rid of them.
And now he's split up the Infestors. There's one that's just sitting overhead on top of this base. How many more workers were killed there? Another 8 workers. So
even on up, man. 44 and 39.
And look at the worker count now. 64 to 39. Yes, there's a giant force that's out right now for Apocalypse. I get that. But the Infestor count is starting to get huge for Leenock. He kills more units over at the 30. He's dropping down infested Terrans. He won't be able to kill this base quite in time, so smartly backing up there.
Apocalypse is like, screw it. I don't want to deal with Infestors. I'm just going to go for the kill. I don't know if that's going to work. Leenock just has to hold here.
Oh, he's killing more workers somewhere, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, sitting over at the natural now.
He just gave up on the Infestors.
Which is awesome, because that's maybe single-handedly got not just Leenock back in this.
Oh god, this could be really bad for Leenock if he lost those Infestors.
And he just lost one of them, but you're right. He loses a hatchery in the process. Don't believe that that was canceled, and he only drops down a couple of fungal growths on these Marines.
Yeah, Leenock. Oh boy, there's all the infested Terrans. Why doesn't Leenock? Oh god, so many infested Terrans.
Yeah, so that's the spawn army command, and well, the Zerglings actually sitting around the top are going to clean up the rest of this, and Leenock was able to pretty cost-efficiently deal with that entire attack, and now Apocalypse is just in a really, really bad spot all of a sudden. So many resources banked up.
Oh yeah, just didn't deal with those Infestors. I can't say that enough.
All right, and they're actually still hanging around and accumulating energy, so they are still going to be a threat for a while. Man, so what does Apocalypse do from here? What can he do?
Well, the Zerg is going to go for Broodlords really quickly. He has, I think, a Ling blocking that command center from landing, which is or Baneling even. he's rich enough that he can use Banelings to block command centers now.
Oh, and he's waiting for units to come by and clean this up too, but it looks like that is in vision of the orbital command.
Yeah, Apocalypse has to try and multitask, I feel, here. He has to clean up those Infestors first and foremost. They're still dropping eggs at the natural. If you look over there, I mean, there's no excuse. Like, just throw a missile turret. Think about the amount of cost for a missile turret being made to all of those things. But this is the harass I was talking about that needs to be done. He just picked off most of those. He needs to realize he didn't pick off all of them. Maybe a scan there would be extremely nice.
Looks like he wants to just try and take out the hatchery for now, though. Yep. He gets it.
For sure. But he sees all of those corruptors, and he's going. There's the quote-unquote multi-pronged attack.
Yeah.
But it's just not enough. The upgrades here. 2-2 on those Zerglings, and I think 1-2 on the Marines.
I don't think they have adrenal glands yet, no. So that hasn't been researched. Hive is obviously done, but that upgrade should be coming momentarily. 3-3 upgrades are on the way for him, and once again, Apocalypse has just been very far set back. His total upgrades, 2-1 at the moment, so he's a full upgrade behind.
Look at the Baneling. I thought he was going to walk all those Marines on it. Like, just stim those Marines and then poof.
Leenock's waiting for it, though. I've seen his cursor come through and select it a few times, so he's still very, very aware for it. At the same time, he's actually making his way in to his opponent's natural, and he sees multiple starports getting the throw.
Everywhere, I think.
Oh, man. I think they were cleaned up by the siege tank, but yeah. So they're still going.
Check how many kills those Infestors have, if you would, for me.
12, Ravager, Infestor, 12, 16, and 7. And
there were 4 of them, right?
Yeah, I think
Destiny's like, go Infestors, go!
I think one finally died. So, yes, one of the hero Infestors. So Leenock's now, he's got such a good position. How many did he morph in some Broodlords? Yeah, 7 of them. They're actually making their way up to start sieging this base. The creep spread is excellent. The bases are fairly unprotected by Marines. This is just such a tough position.
He's making 5 Vikings at a time. That's got to be what he's hoping is going to save him, but the fact that there are that many Queens, that many, just everything for the Zerg here. All those Infestors. The Terran really needs like a maxed army almost to deal with this,
and he saves his command centers, but I mean, what did that really gain him at this point? He's not going to be doing too much mining over here. Oh, and there's already more infested Terrans sitting again. This 14-kill Infestor now, 57 workers killed to 56. This is not a game that I want to be a worker in, I have to say.
Yeah, Infestors are good units.
Yes, they are. I can feel the forum posts now. So, all right. So this is a large Infestor Broodlord army. There's enough Queens here with infinite energy that they can sit and transfuse up the Broodlords over and over again.
Beautiful creep spread from Leenock here as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely blocking pretty much all paths through the middle of the map. Looks like Apocalypse is going to try and do a counterattack here. It's about all he can do. I mean, he's got to find some sort of way to equalize because he doesn't really have a way to combat the army at the front. He actually does pull Leenock back, and that gives him time to morph in yet more Vikings.
Yeah, there is the chance. If, for whatever reason, Apocalypse can get the Infestors, like you might think the Broodlords here are the big threat, they're really not. I think the Infestors by themselves could almost kill the entire army of Apocalypse. And especially because Apocalypse has so many Vikings already just chilling out, waiting. It's really the Infestors that are going to be the danger to him, I think.
Okay, well, this has kind of turned into kind of a ridiculous game. We're 26 minutes in now. There's been 132 workers killed overall. The bio units, yeah, no kidding. Just a couple, handful here or there. The Zerglings are finally going to clean up the rest of these units. Still no adrenal glands, which I'm a little bit surprised about. But the rest of the force does get cleared up. Apocalypse uses this as an excuse to get through the middle of the map and start cleaning up yet more creep tumors. But once again, he still hasn't done anything about these 3 Infestors, which have a total of 39 kills between them.
It's a beautiful thing, man, when Infestors can get that many kills.
Not usually it's kind of a one-time thing. Run up, let's hope we don't get siege tanked to death, and let's fungal a bunch of stuff. Speaking of fungling a bunch of stuff, a couple of Vikings, a few Marines get hit there, but the Infestors can't get close enough to follow up with a second fungal.
Now, if you consider this whole game, and you look back on it, and you see Apocalypse building that missile turret at his base, and you see those 4 Infestors walking right beneath the missile turret before it finishes, this game would be completely different.
No, that is the difference in the game.
1 or 2 seconds of that missile turret being done in time.
Oh, but here comes a big attack. Bailing's actually getting some pretty good connections up in the front, and that allows the Vikings to be dealt with very efficiently. There's GG, and Leenock takes the set after falling down 0-1. That was a pretty ridiculous way to go about things for our first set.
Oh yeah, that opening,